I'm Alice Kwartler of Alice Kwartler Antiques, and I've had my business on Park Avenue for over 50 years. I never planned to have a business at all of any kind. So after college, I entered the corporate world, and after I was there for a couple of years, I asked the company I worked for, which is a major company, if I could be promoted to vice president, because the young men who started with me were all vice presidents then. And they said, well, we don't have women vice presidents. So I said, but I work harder than they do, and I make more money for you than they do. And they said, that's right. I said, you mean no matter what I ever do, I can never be a vice president? And they said, yes, that's right. So I just had a little thought bubble that said, I know nothing about business, but I'm going to start my own business where I can do whatever it is I can do. And no one can say that to me again. I was a kid. We lived in the country and went to country auctions every Saturday night. And the auctioneer was like a showman. He was hilarious. And so it was like going out every Saturday night and listening to him. But while I was there, I got to look at beautiful glass, beautiful silver, beautiful things. And I just became drawn to them. And that's why I really became interested. So when I decided to start a business, I thought, I don't really know anything about business, but I love this and I'll learn more about it. And at the time, 55 years ago, I got a small business loan for $10,000, which my father had to co-sign for. And that was the start of everything. I loved it from the minute I started it. So I started more with glass, then became more involved with silver, and eventually into jewelry. Well, I started out by exhibiting at antique shows, first local antique shows and then large national antique shows. So that became a buying, selling situation. And after doing that for about 15 years, I decided that I wanted to have my own store. And so I had my first store, which was really my first real experience. Before that, it was almost an exchange among friends, clients that I met, but I didn't think it was retail. It was a bit different. And then I moved into a place called Pluses on Decatur. That was on 57th Street in New York. After that, I moved into my own store next to it for 25 years on 57th Street. And 15 years ago, I moved into Park Avenue. Probably for me, the business part of running a retail store. I went into the business because I loved the things I was buying and selling. I really enjoyed the people that I met. And they became almost extended family to me. We became friends. It never occurred to me at the time that once you have a retail store, there's a whole other structure of things you have to deal with: the government, the landlord, permits, accounting. So these were not things that really interested me, and they were a bit challenging, but I was able to find professional people to help me through all of that, so I could just focus on what I love, which is buying, selling things to people that I like. I buy most things privately from people. I've been here for a long time, and even at the very beginning, it was somehow easy to meet people who were selling things, buying things. Dealer friends compared information, so they led me to people that had the kinds of things I wanted to buy. And then as soon as I started doing shows, of course I met people who had things they wanted to buy and sell as well. But a huge percentage of what I buy is privately from people. When I started out, I met a woman who had had her own antique business for 30 or 40 years. And for about a year, I apprenticed almost with her. And so I found that you learn by doing something. I mean, of course, I read all the books that were available, but I really developed a taste. She taught me, and then I learned I can evaluate almost anything based on looking at it and touching it, because I've had the experience of 55 years of doing that. And so I think it's a combination of learning from books, from pictures, but also there's no substitute for the actual experience of picking up things, touching them, looking at them, seeing how they're made. Perhaps my favorite all-time client was Liberace, who came in one day very casually dressed, except for the bling that he was wearing. Very friendly, as if he were my best friend. We started talking, and after a while, he said, "May I sit down for a while?" So I said yes, of course. Every time he came to New York, he would come to see me, and every time he came in, he would say, "Alice, it's me, Lee." And I said, I know who you are, Lee. He always brought me coffee. We'd sit for 2 hours, and he would talk about his mother, his sisters, his work, his clothes, his traveling. It was like talking to your best friend. He was the most down-to-earth person. It was an absolute joy to know him. So I've been so fortunate in life to do what I love to do, and I've been able to do it for 55 years. So at this point, this is really a celebration of what I've been able to do, what I've been able to present to everyone, and it represents to me all of the beautiful things, but also the relationships that I've had with thousands of people. You'll be presented with a very, very large selection of all the kinds of things we have in the store. So I'm excited to share all of them with you. I think this represents the last 55 years very nicely. I'm proud to be able to present the things, and this is a good time in my life. It's a time for celebration. I have loved what I've done. At this point, I'm ready to start my new life. And to begin with, my husband and I are taking a trip around the world. So we're very excited and looking forward to the future. We've loved the past, but we're excited and looking forward to the future. Many of you have asked about the auction, and so we're very excited to have you join us and have you there with us. The first main auction will be on February 1st at 10 a.m. at Doyle, and after that there will be a series of other auctions.